You identify an object by its shape, not its color. And you must start out brighter, because if you don't, you're going to lose vibrancy as you go and do multiple pours. You can always take it down. You can't get the vibrancy back. And I have this tipped at an angle here. You notice that? So that through gravity, all this paint is running towards the bottom. I didn't tip and manipulate a whole lot. When I first started pouring, I was always doing, this kind of thing, and I found out everything turned muddy. Yeah. Obviously, mixing with three pigments, you're going to get mud. So, remember this is all masked down here? Remember I told you that was all masked at the bottom? Whoop. So I can run my tissue across there, clean that up without damaging anything. I don't want to take the tissue and touch any of the pigmented areas because they're very, very fragile. That happens a lot too. All these things happen a lot. I kind of like the transition across there. I think that's going good. Barb, we're going to have to check underneath this tape on it to make sure that doesn't bleed underneath there and make a blossom. This is artist tape, and it doesn't work as well as plain old ordinary masking tape. What it does is it leaks underneath your tape and then releases later, and you get those funny blossoms. Okay. That's a little bit. You can certainly use a hairdryer on it, but I would recommend you wait until the shine goes off, and I would recommend that you wait until all those drips stop dripping. Because you want to get all that moisture on there. You notice the transition in color as it goes across? That's the beauty of these pours. Okay. Yep, you're still probably going to want to take a tissue back there, Barb, and keep catching those. Okay, honey, you got to be alert what's going on that page, don't you? Okay. Thank you very much. Keep her vertical and don't get that on you. Okay. Okay. What did I want to tell you? Oh, how do you mask? How do you mask? And why do you mask? Okay. I like to use resist. That way I'm free to wet it and just pour. So let's kind of go through all the different ways you can use resist. One is the liquid resist I'm using, a Frisket, a liquid Frisket. Another is masking tape. Use that. Another is Frisket paper. Another is, you can take freezer paper and literally iron it on. All these ways will work to keep your white paper. And I'm going to show you the liquid Frisket that I use. It's called the Incredible White Mask. It's available from Cheap Joe, Art Supply Warehouse, I think probably Dick Blick, I'm not sure. And who else carries this? Daniel Smith, maybe? No. I'm not sure. Anybody else know where else we can get this? I think maybe some of your local art supply houses carry it too. And you want to make sure that you check it for freshness. You don't want it to be yellow, and you don't want it to be lumpy. Because if it is, it might have gone bad on you. It has an extremely limited shelf life. So make sure before you take it out of the store that you look at it and make sure it's still nice and white, like maybe 2% milk. Don't shake it. When you get it home, make sure the lid is on tight. Turn it upside down. Creates a vapor lock, seals it, and keeps it from the air getting to it. When it's time for you to use it, just turn it right side up. If you don't use it frequently and you're going in your studio, give it a turn every once in a while. Just give it a turn. Don't shake it. When I'm ready to use the mask, I put it in a film can. So you are not exposing the large container to air. You are also not exposing the large container to your brush. You're going to put this on with a brush. And I use Cheap Joe's Ugly Brush. This is a number 8. It's a round. It's white Taklon. It is made especially for putting on the mask. So you know when you see this white brush with a yellow handle, that is your masking brush. You do not use it to paint with. Anything that you use to put mask on, you do not use for painting. This is your masking brush, the ugly brush. Comes in many sizes. Do not get the flat. The flat is not white Taklon. So you want the round, white Taklon ugly brush. Okay, so let's say we're going to put on some mask. All right. When you go to put on your mask, you need to pick a shape, and you need to put a line all around that shape like that. You see that shape right there? You probably can't see that shape right there. But anyway, say I wanted to keep that shape from taking any pigment. I'm going to mask it out. So I need some soap, and I use bar soap. I need some water that is strictly used for mask. I will even take a piece of masking tape, put it on there, and write mask on it. I cannot use this for anything else. This is strictly for masking, not for painting. So I dip it in the water, then I run it on my bar of soap, or you can use liquid soap. Back in the water again to kind of get rid of the excess soap, and then I dip it in the film can. Then I would go over here, and I would cover that shape with my mask. It's very liquidy, it goes on very easily, flows off the brush. I don't work it back and forth at all.
And you use a very light touch.
You use a light touch, yes you do. You don't scrub it back and forth, because if you do that, you'll end up with funny lines on your paper, because you are actually hurting the surface of the paper. And you're also putting on kind of funny, ridgy strokes with your masking tape. I've had, or masking fluid, I've had people ask me things like, well, why don't you just pour it on? You know, I mean, that's easier, just pour the stuff on, kind of brush it around. It doesn't work, because wherever you pour it, it comes out kind of thick, and it takes forever for it to dry underneath. And one of the hazards of using mask is if you're extremely impatient, you may tear your paper when you go to take it off, because it stays real damp underneath there. Because paper's not paper, it's like cloth. And when you wet it down, the moisture goes underneath the mask, not just on top of the mask. You know, it's absorbent like a piece of cloth. So it sucks the moisture underneath the mask. So it takes a long time. I would not recommend, if you're starting to pour, using 300-pound paper, because it will tear. You just are not patient enough, guys. You just want to rip that mask right off there. So,
what's the purpose of the soap? What does it actually
okay,
do?
what it actually does is it's a barrier. It makes a film barrier between the brush and the mask. It makes it, you can feel it, it's like slick, you know. I don't know if there's such a word as a surfactant or something that allows moisture to fall off a surface. You do not want the mask to get into your brush, because it makes these funny little nubbins, and they attract more nubbins, and then the next thing you know, you're painting with a brush that has a great big blob on the end of it, and you'll hate me, and you'll hate the mask, and you'll hate yourself. Hey, if I have one more student tell me it's just a piece of paper, I'm going to hit them. Don't say that tomorrow, guys. Okay, I'm going to go in here and see this little goat. Maria, this little goat's going to be blue.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. I know you're going to be upset, but he's going to be blue. And I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to do a little on here, on his little bum. He's going to have a blue bum. Why am I putting mask on here? What's the purpose of the mask? Let's see if you know that.
Keep the same color. So
You got it. I'm going to save his blue bum, whether you like it or not. I'm not thinking color. I'm thinking value. I'm not caring what color he is. I'm more interested in what value he is.
How do you prevent that color from lifting when you go over it with the mask and skin?
Well, you know what? It probably is going to lift a little bit.
But the Da Vinci paint,
It's staining. I would not ever put this on this soon, under normal circumstances. You must be very patient. This is gonna lift a ton of pigment off when it comes off.
How do you judge when that mask is dry? Enough to try and lift it?
It's not the mask, honey, that's a problem, it's the pour. That's where you really need to be patient.
So if you leave it overnight, the next morning you...
No problem.
Okay.
Mhm. The problem is putting the mask on like I am now too soon.
Yeah.
Mhm. But this is a demonstration. You expect it to be full of problems, right?
Perfect.
You expect it to be perfect?
Perfection is possible in the real world.
Forget it. You come to the wrong demonstration, my dear. I told my husband you guys were tough. No, I told him.
Yep. Now wet the paper first.
Don't forget to wet your paper. Barbara, thank you, honey. You're welcome.
I was pleased to do it.
Oh, bless your heart.
Just rubbing it in, that's what she's doing. Just looks at me and says, I was pleased to do it.
Just don't ever ask me again. Because if you do, I will refuse. You're creating that layer to go across, and then the paint flows across it. Now, if I was going to do a real painting, without all of you breathing down my neck, I would make each pour darker. Darker. But,
So you don't consider this a dark pour at all?
not dark enough. I want it dark. You think it's dark enough? Love that group. Isn't that cool what paint does?
But it won't stay that way.
Well, it might. Well, it just won't stay that way, she says.
I'll shut up.
What she knows. You ever sat and watched paint dry? You guys are really desperate. Get a life. Ooh, maybe I better put that somewhere else. Huh? Something interesting about pouring is if you had two reds, a real thick red and a thin red, and you put the thick red on,